Okay, I'm starting with session on concrete 101. What you're going to see here is the most sophisticated concrete made certainly anywhere out, handmade concrete in all of Costa Rica. First thing we started off with is nice clean sand, what we call a fairly big mixture. That's what's called a 1.5 sack mixer. So we make all of our formula based on that. Now we've got nice clean sand here and nice clean rock, as we call it. This is called quinta. So this is quite a fine rock, which is quite intentional that it's finer than is typically used, and it's not mixed together someplace else. We do the formula here. But I want nice fine rock because we have another secret ingredient that is far from typical. I got it from a friend. This is basalty fiber, brought in from China. Now you just saw him dump in that little. That is an additive called an admix made by Euclid, and this is a filtration agent. Because one of the things that the layman doesn't understand is they think concrete is super solid. Wrong. It's actually full of holes. It's like Swiss cheese. So what this does, chemically, it goes in and it fills all of the holes in the Swiss cheese concrete. Now, what I'm going to show you is this basalty fiber that he's putting some in the mix here right now. Well, we're putting 3 kilos of fiber in each mix of concrete, which is quite substantial, to put it mildly. And this basalty fiber is 3 times stronger than concrete than steel is. So, and there it is. And this does not, is that the enemy over the years with concrete is we use this steel bar for the perimeter beam. Now, all in the center is all it's going to be reinforced with is this basalt. Anyways, but each fiber is, as I said, 3 times stronger than steel, but it's made from a mineral. It will not oxidize, ever. And that's the enemy, and that's why when you're driving down the highway, when you see them with the bridge all ripped apart and changing the cap on the bridge, it's because the destruction, the oxidation of the steel in the superstructure of the deck of the bridge. So this is one of our biggest enemy in that respect is oxidation. So if you use a reinforcement that doesn't oxidize, that gives you a long leg up. And plus, when it's 3 times stronger than steel, and this is we're using lots of it. We're actually using 15 kilos in a cubic meter of material. So this is the first time, well, a friend had brought it in for a big project, and it simply didn't work with the aggressive mixers using it was breaking the fiber. So I knew he had this, so I succumbed some and got it shipped up the country, and hence all those sacks over there, all those sacks are the fiber that's going into this slab. So now we measured all of these cubettes. These buckets are not here just to handle the material, it's measure the material. So we've got a ratio of sand and rock correct. And then of course we have, like, I know that bucket there, that white bucket right there, holds 3 kilograms of fiber. And the other container, that that's basically 1.5 liters of the admix, this Euclid mix here. This comes from, it's called Yukon Vandex. That's the additive, and it comes from a construction supplier here, the only real professional one I know of. Now, the other weird things here is, anybody who's been following my videos may have seen that we've used a material like this before. I imported it that time, but I found out my supplier actually had it in country. So we got this from him, and that gives into why that additive is in there. And especially if it's a water tank or a swimming pool, filtration is the kiss of death. But here, it's a different cause, and I have a client with a house that has this problem. The floors weep. Now, it rains a lot up here this time of the year. Like it rained yesterday. We got like from 10 o'clock yesterday morning to 6 o'clock this morning, we had at least 12 hours of rain. So the problem is, when you're on the side of a mountain like this, rain comes down, but it enters the mountain and because you never know where the hell it's going to come out of a mountain, it will often go subterranean and then come up underneath a house. So these clients' houses, it's pushing 20 years old. Their floors weep, and it's almost impossible to stop it because the moisture is coming up through the concrete, and of course it's typical low-grade concrete. So there's nothing really, there's no membrane, there's nothing there to stop it. So here we've taken two measures. This green area, and this is just a very heavy plastic, very durable. We put a sand bed underneath there to prevent perforations, and we've got this red, incredibly super sticky tape that's on the joint going across and around any of our posts. And there's our water line and some electrical line, plumbing line going on. So all the plumbing is underneath us, but on top of us, all the sewer lines are underneath us. So we put this down, and now we're putting all of our water lines and electrical on the top of it to eliminate perforations. Anyways, so we've got this plastic down first, so now moisture can't come up through it. Now, we didn't put it in the outdoor floors, because it's pointless. We're outdoors, it's going to evaporate away. However, the additive, the filtration agent additive will be in all of this material. Those air pockets in the concrete is not a good deal. So anyways, so that's the secondary protection against water filtration. And in the long run, constant water filtration does not make the concrete better, to put it mildly. But anyways, that's what we do on, this is anybody's following the past videos, this is a much smaller house. Someone called it a tiny house. But that doesn't mean you change your quality standards and your infrastructure. Whatever house it is, infrastructure is very important, because like these friends that have the house with the leaking floor, how do you fix it? I told them, no problem, I can fix it. I have a little tool for fixing. It's called Caterpillar. Knock over the house and start all over again. And don't make the same mistakes. So that's, I think, this concrete is just packed full of this fiber. And if you look really closely, here, we can see this mix, all the fiber in there. Much fiber. So that gives, if you want to call it, a super fantastic floor that literally has a life of years and years. When, of course, when the entire body of the floor is full of fiber, cracks are extremely difficult to acquire. And remembering, of course, the ground has a tendency of dancing here, so having something that's very resistant to movement is a pretty darn good idea. But anyways, that sort of wraps up our episode of Concrete 101. Oh, and okay, and let's not miss that one thing. Anybody's watched the videos know you always build underneath the tarp. Well, with concrete, its two greatest enemy are sun and rain. And we regularly get both in the same day. You can start the morning and your concrete's getting toasted in a hot tropical sun, and by afternoon you're getting drenched on it. So really, to have a good floor without a tarp, pretty much impossible. Especially at this time of the year. But I mean, even at summertime when we're getting a day full of sun, you do not want that sun frying your concrete and having flash setting and whatnot. That's a great way to get shitty concrete. Anyways, that is the last that I can think of that for this version of Concrete 101.